Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our second show here on Sunday. We're back here yet again, a nighttime show. It is Sunday, December 29th, and the biggest news of the offseason has just come out. The San Diego Padres have acquired former Cy Young pitcher Blake Snell from the American League champion Tampa Bay Rays for their top prospects of Luis Patino, Francisco Mejia, Blake Hunt, and Cole Wilcox. What a massive trade that just took place tonight. And wow, this is the biggest news we've had all offseason. Haven't had any signings yet. We've been hearing rumblings of Snell over the entire offseason, but I did not think that it was going to happen this quickly. So what are your guys' initial reactions to this? Seeing it right away, not thinking too deeply into it. This is crazy. Right off the bat, boom, Blake Snell's been traded. What are you guys thinking? We'll go with Nick and Ryan because this is how you guys arrived.
Yeah, wow. Just opening our phone to Jeff Passan, and it's just crazy. First of all, I'm thinking, wow, the Padres have a really stacked rotation now. Clevenger, Paddock. Now you add Snell, Lamet. That's scary for the NL West. But like we were talking about it, just before we went live, this doesn't get them over the Dodgers one bit, and it looks like the Padres are going all in, giving up all the top prospects. Like last year, the trade deadline, I don't know how many top prospects they gave up last year, and like how many of them panned out to do well for teams that weren't on the Padres. And now I'm just confused as to why they made this deal, because like we said, this won't give them over the Dodgers. They're not in a win now mode at all right now. They're acting as if they are, but like in my opinion, one pitcher won't get them over a team that just won the World Series.
Yeah, very true. Ryan?
Well, as I told you guys before the show, I took a long nap, and I wake up to Jeff Passan tweeting, "Oh my God, we have a trade for Blake Snell in place." And to me, it's obvious why the Padres did it. They lost Clevenger. He had Tommy John. He's out this year. He's done. They need to get another starting pitcher. And with how inconsistent and, quite frankly, poor Chris Paddock was this year, you can't have him as your number one. Dinelson Lamet could be your number one. You just got Blake Snell. He's probably going to be your one, or at worst, your two. That's a great start. But like you said, Nick, this doesn't get them over the Dodgers. No way. And when you look at the Padres' top prospects, they gave up their number 3 in Luis Patino, who's MLB ready. They gave up Francisco Mejia. That doesn't shock me. They were going to give him up at some point in a trade. They've got talent at catcher. I don't know why the Padres were so eager to make a deal for Blake Snell. They've got 3 years of control on him, which is good. Not a free agent until 2024. I don't know if this was the right move for the Padres right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm thinking the same thing that, this is a Dodgers team that they're competing with that is so at the top of their game right now. This is the best team in baseball. That's only going to keep getting better. I mean, they've already made some big signings. The Padres are already a step below them. And now, yes, adding Blake Snell is huge, but they were a step below them with Mike Clevenger. Blake Snell is, yes, significantly better than Mike Clevenger, but they don't have Mike Clevenger anymore. They went from being here to now maybe about here when the Dodgers are up here. It doesn't make sense to me right away that they would give up all of these prospects. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me. This is such a great pitcher, yes, but I just don't think the possibility is there for them to make it to the World Series yet. I just don't. Now we've also got Marco Peralta joining us on stream to chat about this as well. Mark, welcome on in, talking about Blake Snell. What are your initial thoughts of this trade?
So, my gosh, this has got me with no words at all. This rotation now for the Padres is going to be ridiculous now. Scary ridiculous. Chris Paddock, Lamet, we'll see what they do. Oh my gosh! Now Blake's, I'm lost for words, bro. Like this is scary, scary, scary good of a rotation now. It's ridiculous.
But Marco, you have to remember Clevenger's out. He had to get Tommy John.
Yeah, Clevenger.
And they're going with a backup policy here because they don't know how he's going to be after Tommy John. The worst thing the Padres did was pitch Clevenger. I was against it the entire way. The last thing they should have done was pitch Clevenger. And now they felt like they had to get Blake Snell or someone like him. But good news for you, Michael. This is probably going to take them out of the Trevor Bauer stakes.
Yeah.
This is going to take them out. They don't have the money now.
Honestly, Marco, if I'm a Padres fan, sorry, go ahead.
Blake Snell, his contract goes from 10.5 to 12.5 to 16 in the next 3 years.
It's big. Well, we don't know what they're going to do with the contract yet.
It's going to be pricey. They can't afford Bauer. And if they somehow get Bauer, they're going to have to get rid of someone like Hosmer. Nobody wants that contract.
Yeah.
I think it would have been wise if they don't re-sign to Clevenger and they try to get Bauer, but they weren't going to know they were going to get Blake Snell out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
I'm intrigued, Marco, for your perspective, because as a Dodger fan, you know how packed the Dodgers are. Do you think that this is worth it to be able to give up all of these players? I mean, this is such a huge deal, but do you think that the Padres, even with Blake Snell, are realistically capable of performing at that level?
Well, the biggest thing the Padres have been missing this season in the past was pitching. Like not healthy pitching, just not great pitching, or we had a lot of injury guys the Padres had a lot of injury guys that were just not good. So now with Blake Snell being there, you have Clevenger, depends when he comes back and how he comes back. Then you have Chris Paddock and Lament. That's a rotation that everyone would like because it's not just currently good, but for the future, it's good for Chris Paddock and Lament. So I think it's worth for them. I just hope all of them stay healthy because if they do, 3-game series, Padres are heavy favorites.
Yeah, honestly, and I mean, go ahead, Nick.
I'll say honestly, as a Dodgers fan, I'd be laughing right now. This was a poor attempt to even get into contention for the NL West. They gave up practically their entire future the past 2 off seasons now, just for like a pitcher that has Tommy John surgery now and a pitcher that's 4 years removed from his Cy Young. Blake Snell is still a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but 2017 hit a down year, 2018 hit a down year, and he hasn't been the most consistent pitcher on that Rays team. And for them to give up like those many prospects, and for what they are, it's just I would be laughing right now if I was.
Okay, so quick question. Well, my phone's about to die, and I'm on the road, so this is why it's about to die. But who did the Padres give up? I haven't seen the trade. I haven't seen it.
They gave up Luis
Patino. They gave up Cole Wilcox, Blake Hunt, and
Francisco Mejia.
Wow.
This won't do anything for them. I mean, like Ryan said, this will replace Clevenger, but this wasn't even the best pitcher on the Rays. Think about it.
All right, so I'll be back in around 5 minutes, around there. I'll be back. My phone's about to die.
Sounds good, buddy. Drive safe. So if you think about it right now, I mean, Jeremy Ramirez brings up a great question of where does Trevor Bauer realistically land? And I mean, this is an important question because you've got so many different places now, and this obviously crosses Bauer off the list. You've got the Mets, you've got the Angels. I really think that it's down to them too. I realistically see him going to the Angels. Look, I mean, Steve Cohen said yesterday that he is not afraid to go over the luxury tax. And he says, we're going over the luxury tax at some point. We don't know if we're going to do it this year. We don't think we will, but we will at some point. So that makes you believe that the Mets might invest now. You never know. You have to deal with that Padres team. You just now got one star player because when you get to the playoffs, you have to worry about the Padres no matter who you are, because now they have this rotation. And as we know, rotations win ball games. Look at some of the teams that have won the World Series in the past few years. It's because of their rotations. Look at the Nationals. The Nationals got there because of their rotation. They have one of the worst bullpens in the game, but made it to the World Series and won it because of how good of their rotation that they have. If you're a team like the Mets or the Angels, primarily the Mets because you're in the same league as the Padres, you're going to have to do something about it. I personally still believe that Bauer to the Angels is more likely, but I don't know. Ryan, what's up?
Holy moly, what did you just say? I'm sorry. You cannot compare the Padres starting rotation to the Nationals. I get what you're trying to say, but there's nowhere close to that level of talent with the Padres. They don't have Scherzer or Strasburg.
I know, but I'm saying it's a good rotation. I'm saying is what gets you there, and this brings them a step closer.
Michael, do you know from 2015 what wins you ball games in the postseason?
Offense and pitching. You need both.
What wins you games in the postseason?
Your bullpen.
Well, yeah, your bullpen.
Your bullpen. If I'm the Padres, you should have gone after bullpen. This could also be getting back Trevor Rosenthal. He's not going to be cheap. They have a lot of figuring out to do, and if they lose Trevor Rosenthal, come back. I want him back. But
I know, we know.
This could run them out of there. And I don't know if this is a smart move. Blake Snell, there's no doubt. Great pitcher. But since his Cy Young season.
That's what I'm saying.
In 19, his ERA was a 4.29.
Didn't even crack top 50 this year for us.
1.27 whip.
He's not even the best pitcher on the Rays.
No.
And then 3.24 ERA with a 1.2 whip this past year. I don't know what
I would hate this if I'm a Padre fan. I would absolutely hate this.
See, here's what's going on with Padre fans. And I could tell when I was on the phone with Dom for just like a brief second. They hear Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Former Cy Young winner. They hear the name and they're like, oh my God. But I don't know if I like it. I don't know if you're going to get top Blake Snell. And I think that is something that should scare the daylights out of Padres fans.
Granted,
and I think
the last time we saw him, he was pulled in that marvelous Game 6 in the World Series. If they're getting that Blake Snell, then I'm all for it. But I can't commit to that. We haven't seen him be consistent for 2 years now.
And I think that's the biggest thing here is that if you're a fan, you look at this and say, man, we just traded away some of our top prospects. First of all, the Rays are so smart. This is such a steal for them. They just got 4 incredible prospects. One of the best prospects. I mean, the Padres and Rays, we always knew Padres, Rays have the top 2 right now prospect farm systems in the game. The Rays now just took off at number 1. With Wander Franco down there, who's going to be a star one day. Now they just added Francisco Mejia, one of the top catching prospects, and Patino. I mean,
Francisco Mejia isn't the big part.
No, he's not. But he's still good.
With the Padres, I want to look at Cole Wilcox that they just traded. He was drafted this year in the 3rd round. And let's just talk about how impressive this kid is, that he's already their number 7 prospect and he hasn't even played a game for them.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Padres would do that. Like, of course, if you're getting Cy Young Blake Snell, do it. But
we don't know.
Is it Blake Snell that we've seen before?
They're just banking on that he's the Blake Snell that we saw in the playoffs. That's all they're banking on.
Sometimes that's all you need. I mean, look at Daniel Murphy. He had one of the worst. He was a subpar player at best until he hit the playoffs in 2015, and after that, for the next 3 years, is one of the best players we had ever seen. And I think the craziest thing about this is that if you look at that Rays team, they just suddenly dropped out of the AL East championship race for the moment. I mean, they've already lost Charlie Morton, which hurt them a lot, but now they lost Blake Snell. I mean, this team is – none of these players, I think, are going to impact them this year. Maybe Francisco Mejia could be a platoon with Mike Zunino, but, I mean, this Rays team –
I don't know why the Rays are doing this.
I don't know.
Well, look at the guy in the return.
Oh, my God.
They're set up for the future. And
they're set up very well for the future.
And I think with the Yankees being healthy next year,
World Series.
I think they kind of conceded the division this year. They kind of figured that the Yankees are going to be healthy this year. We're going to see the full 162-game Yankee team. So maybe the Rays will.
One thing that's always hit the Yankees though is injuries.
No, I know, but they're assuming that with now a healthy Yankee team that they're not in any position to compete for the division right now.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it very nicely. there is no way that Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge will be fully healthy. They say it every year. No way.
I agree.
And it's just because they're built. They're big guys. And I just don't think they can keep it up.
Well, if they re-sign LeMahieu, that'll also be a huge part of it too.
I mean, this is such an interesting trade with so much around it that it seems like you look at it 1 minute. I mean, the Padres, yes, they're upgraded, but for the future, this is really killing them. The Rays, this is a defending AL champ team who now are probably not even in that contention anymore, but they're sacrificing the next 1 to 2 years for maybe 4 to 5 of incredible success. I mean, the thing with prospects is once they hit the big leagues, you have them for 5 years or more. You have him for many years and you don't have to pay him much. That's why Blake Snell is gone, because when he came up, they can't pay him. And that's why the Rays are so smart, such an intelligent organization that with no money, they managed to do this time and time again. If I'm a Rays fan, this is so promising. Look, the Padres are still really good. This is an incredible boost for them. And yes, this puts them in a prime position to be a front runner for a major National League wild card spot, but you still can't beat the Dodgers.
The Dodgers wild card. They're not winning the division.
Yeah, because the Dodgers are just too.
And here's the thing: they're trying to play catch up. If I were the Padres right now, I'd be happy with what I had and just wait and see with the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't catch the Dodgers. They have 2 MVPs in their outfield.
They won't be this good forever.
They have one of the best shortstops in the game. They have one of the best pitchers ever. They have Walker Buehler. This team is insane. I don't think they still don't stack up. And I'm going to go over to what Giancarlo Gill said in a comment. Cole Wilcox will be the best player from this trade. I agree. Cole Wilcox will be impressive. And I think that the Padres really screwed this one up by giving away someone that they just drafted. At Georgia, this in 2020, a 1.57 ERA, a WHIP of 0.87. In 23 innings, that's insane. That's terrific. But also, I've been diving into Blake Snell's stats ever since I saw this.
He hasn't had more than 7 wins since Cy Young year.
Exactly, but you can't really look at 2020 fully.
I know, but he has like 4 or 5 other seasons. His Cy Young season
2019 was his worst career season. But this past year, his home runs per 9 were at a career low at 1.8, which is I'd be scared about that. And it's gotten nearly worse every year. And I don't think that the Padres want to have a guy who's going to give up home runs like Blake Snell potentially could be. Like I said, if the Padres get Cy Young Blake Snell, they would.
Big if.
I would even say at that maybe they don't.
Well, I mean,
I remember watching Cole Wilcox a couple games at Georgia, because that's where he went. He was easily a guy that could have been drafted in that first or second round that somehow went to the third. He is going to be a beast. And the Rays, I love it for him. The Rays have tremendous pitching, and I think that this is going to be a very good trade for them, because they just got Luis Patino, number 3 prospect for the Padres. They gave up their 3, their 7, and their 14. They're giving up a lot of prospects, and that's not saying, they have a great farm system. They do, and they still have their top prospect in Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah,
but I don't know about this.
Okay,
I don't know if it's worth the money.
The thing about that is, the reason why maybe Padre fans are excited, because they're in a win now mode. Like, they're going to try to win within the next 2 years.
Which is stupid, because they're not going to beat the Dodgers.
You're in the same division as the best team we might ever see.
they're trying to do. I think it's going to be one of those cases that the Padres are going to be like a team that rebuilds to try to win it in the next 2-3 seasons, and after that, they deplete once again because they lost all their future now. So that's the issue I have with this trade. Besides that, I think, like you said, the fact that his numbers haven't been the best the past few seasons, but he's still dominant. You know, I think he could be. I don't consider him the ace of the Padres. People are going to already put him at the ace of the Padres. I don't think so. I think it's too much that they're saying, but you can't deny that this addition is going to help their rotation in the next 2 years.
It replaces Clevenger. That's the
Exactly.
only reason.
You know, and also the thing is, like, I think their biggest year to win it all will be 2022 when he comes back, because 2021 I don't think they're going to win it. I know that for sure. But 2022 comes around, you have Lament, Paddock, Clevenger, and Blake Snell. 4 out of 5 starting rotation spots. And with the people they have right now, they can make some deals to get like a pretty decent 5th spot, or just fill that with the bullpen or rotation. So
Right, but the Dodgers aren't going anywhere.
I know they're not.
For a few years.
In a few years they're not. You
For
know,
many.
but it doesn't hurt for them to be competitive against the Dodgers.
I agree.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. They will be competitive. They proved that they can be competitive against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
But adding a guy like Blake Snell, who's a great pitcher, I don't think that's enough.
It's because look,
Really not.
Dodgers are looking at this is because they saw what Blake Snell did in Game 6, how he dominated the Dodgers rotation.
So recency bias.
What's that?
So recency bias. They're basing the trade off of the last great game he pitched.
Yeah, they're big
but
off of that because, like, let's say that happens almost every other outing in the NL West Division series. Those games can maybe be the difference between them and winning the division title. You just never know, because I think that's how they're looking at it from a Dodgers perspective. Like, they're trying to get someone who they struggled with at the World Series. Like, hey, let's bring this guy that made our arch rival struggle and see if we can make something big against them next season. That's why I think they're looking at this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that this is going to be, I mean, you guys, I mean, I see both sides here. This is, yes, it's clearly
really risky because you're putting in jeopardy all your future, really in jeopardy, you know, but they're in the win now mode, which I think is ridiculous because there's other talented teams like Dodgers and Braves that we talked about.
I still put the Braves over them.
Yes.
Of course.
I agree completely. But they're trying to be that 13 in the NL to be considered World Series champions. That's their mentality.
A guy that hasn't had 7 wins in any season besides a Cy Young season, I just can't see that helping them that much more. Besides, like what Ryan said in replacing Clevenger. Like,
see, scaring me is that what we have seen from Blake Snell kind of proves that Cy Young year wasn't an anomaly.
that's what I'm saying.
And I want this trade to work out for the Padres because the happier Dominic Stern is, the happier I am.
And speaking of Dominic Stern, our Padres analyst is here to he's here to discuss. So, Dom, being a Padres fan yourself, let's see if we can make this neater. There we go, much better. I want to hear your perspective as a Padres fan. What is your initial reaction of this trade?
Well, first off, the Rays are getting a haul back. They are getting a lot of very solid prospects. It is very important to note that this is what the Rays have to do. You know, they're a very, very small market team. I don't even think small market team describes the Rays. They have to do this. This is how they built themselves to make it to the 2020 World Series. So not too shocked they did this and they got a lot back. But as a Padres fan, I mean, we got better. That's all you can really ask for. And I mean, given the situation that we're in right now, with Clevenger going down for the 2021 season, this move helps put us into a position where we are able to compete with the Dodgers. Now, will we? Who knows? But Snell definitely helps out the rotation because, I mean, we saw Snell in 2018, he won the Cy Young. 2019 and 2020 wasn't as good, but he was so dominant in that postseason. It was incredible. And that's what it really comes down to is the Padres need to find pitchers who can pitch in the postseason because we saw in the postseason, starting pitchers were awful. I mean, Paddock, he allowed 6 runs. Davies allowed 4 runs. We had to go an opener. in Game 3 of both series, and then Clevenger only pitched 1 inning in Game 1, then he got hurt, and then Davies came in and he allowed 4 or 5 runs in Game 2. So they need that guy that can go into the postseason. Snell is that guy. I love this trade. The Padres got better today. I'm a happy man.
Dom, I have to ask you. Are you afraid this takes the Padres out of any potential big signings? I know that there has been rumors about Bauer. Wasn't probable that he goes there, but it looks like he's out the door now. Are you afraid that they're going to lose out on potentially a guy like Trevor Rosenthal as well?
Well, the thing about Blake Snell is he's on a very team-friendly contract, so he's not impacting the Padres' books too much. So they probably still need to go out and get a reliever. I think Trevor Rosenthal might be a little bit too expensive because, I mean, he definitely had a very solid 2020 season. I know you're happy about that because he could go back to your Kansas City Royals, which would be a fantastic move for them. But, I mean, there's plenty of good relieving options out there. I mean, the Padres picked up Pierce Johnson on a 2 years, $5 million deal last year, and he threw up like a 2.8 ERA for the Padres last year and pitched very well in the postseason. So there are options out there. Kirby Yates is going to be pretty cheap. The Padres could go out there and sign him because he's made it very clear that he wants to be in San Diego. A lot of options, but, I mean, a guy like Trevor Bauer definitely seems unreachable at this point. I've said all along he's going to the Angels, and I would be shocked if he doesn't go anywhere else. And I think that is even more likely now at this point. But yeah, a big free agent seems very unlikely at this point.
Now, I've been wondering, with the Padres giving up such big prospects, do you personally believe that this is going to end up hurting the Padres or helping the Padres more in the long run?
Well, I mean, the Padres' rotation is already set up to be good for a long period of time. Lamet finished 4th place in the Cy Young Award race, like I mentioned last year. He's still under contract for 3 more years. Snell under contract for 3 more years. And we have Mackenzie Gore, the top pitching prospect in baseball. Now, he didn't come up this year, which was a bit concerning, of course. I won't lie about that. But at the same time, Padres will still have him for 6 more years. So at the end of the day, the Padres rotation may not be as good in 6 years as it would be because of this trade, but the Padres rotation is going to be better for the next 3 years. And that's ultimately all you can ask for as a Padres fan because, would you rather take that chance on Luis Patino, who has shown no ability to improve his control and his command, has absolutely elite stuff. He has the biggest ceiling of any pitcher in the Padres system, but walked a ton of guys. He walked over a guy an inning last year for the Padres. He was walking a ton of guys in the minors. So giving him up is not a huge deal, in my opinion. I would have traded him last offseason personally in an article I wrote for East Village Times. I had him traded to the Cubs, but of course that didn't end up happening. And then Cole Wilcox, I think, could be a huge loss. He was the Padres' 3rd-round draft pick out of the University of Georgia. He was a projected 1st-round draft pick talent-wise, slid to the 3rd round because he was a sophomore that was draft eligible, so he could have demanded a ton of money. The Padres ended up giving him that money, 1st-round draft value. Really live arm with 3+ off-speed pitches there, so the Rays are getting a lot there. And as for the 2 catchers, Francisco Mejia, switch hitter, had an 850 OPS in the second half of last year. It was improving defensively, had a very rough 2020 season, but his father died this offseason, the COVID offseason. 2020 was a tough year for evaluating players, and a young player like Francisco Mejia, the Rays are taking advantage of his upside. And the Padres, they do have a really good catching prospect still in Luis Campusano. They're banking on the fact that he's not going to be in too much trouble with his marijuana incident he had in the state of Georgia. And then as for the last player, Blake Hunt, really solid, fundamentally sound catching prospect for the Padres. I personally don't know too much about him, but my editor for the East Village Times has had a ton of conversations, has got the chance to watch him a ton. He loves Blake Hunt. He's upset the most about Blake Hunt going in this trade, which I think says a lot considering the fact that Patino and Wilcox were both in this trade. So, like I said, the Rays are getting a lot, and the Padres definitely giving up a lot in return too. But at the same time, Austin Nola still under contract for 4 more years. Now, is he going to have as good of a year offensively as he did in 2020? Probably not. I wouldn't bank on that. But like I said, they're also banking on Luis Campusano. it's risks like this you got to make as the Padres. Have been terrible for the past 15, 20 years. Had a good year in 2020. They're sensing, hey, this could be our time. And you have to take risks in order to get past the juggernaut that plays just about 150 miles north of the San Diego Padres, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And if AJ Preller believes this move can get them over the top, then I like it.
Yeah, AJ Preller. Go ahead, Marco.
The thing I'm concerned about, it's not like not to discredit everything that happened today. Like, I'm just worried if you're like a Padres fan, like the fact that I said before you came on, like they're in the win now mentality, but the fact that the Dodgers and Braves still exist, I think they're the two best teams in the NL. It might be that Padres now are the third team in the NL, but the thing I'm concerned about is that they're basing their run in 2020 that's going to happen every single season. So I'm not saying it as in a bad thing. They had a great season, but you still miss 102 games. What if in those 102 games you saw a downslide of the Padres and it was just all hype and what happened in 60 games? So
Right.
I just want to ask you, are you kind of that mentality, like win now, or like are you a bit concerned like, oh, because at a good 60 game season, we're going to for sure have a 162 game really good season? So what's your opinion on that one, Dom?
So my opinion is that the Padres' winning percentage in this past 2020 season, it probably won't be replicated in this upcoming year. I mean, a 617 winning percentage is really darn good. And obviously, you guys know me. I was on cloud nine throughout this entire season. And the Padres, they didn't have a good finish to the season. And that was in part because the pitching staff was starting to get injured. So, I mean, honestly, if the Padres can come down a bit and have just like a 550 winning percentage, because I mean, I'm a very realistic fan. The Dodgers are going to win this division in 2021. All you have to do is be a wild card team. If you can be around that 550 mark, you're going to win right around 90 games, and that's a playoff team in the National League. Like you mentioned, the two best teams in the NL are the Dodgers and the Braves. And Zip's projections from Fangraphs had the Padres better than the Braves before the Blake Snell trade. So, I mean, obviously that's just one projection model, but I mean, that projection model had the Padres as having the third best record in the National League last year, ended up having the second record. So it believed in the Padres already. It believes in them again. So, I mean, I like our chances going into 2021. And, we saw, I mean, everyone knows that the Dodgers were the best team in 2017 in the NL. And then they lost that series to the Dodgers. I mean, the Astros, and everyone thought like, oh, they should have won that. You put them in a 7-game series or whatnot against any team, you never know what can happen. And the Padres are in a sense now where they feel like a playoff team. Go for it. So I like it. I don't want to just sit there on our hands because having a farm system, we've had a good farm system for the past 5 years. It's finally now paying off, and we're using it to get better for now.
Dom, I have a quick question. Do you think if Clevenger doesn't have Tommy John surgery that this deal is even remotely happening?
I mean, that's a good question. I would say it's probably not happening because at that point, the Padres rotation is already pretty set. Because then at that point, you'd be talking about Clevenger at the top along with Lamet, Zach Davies, probably still Chris Paddock, and then a combination of what prospects the Padres want to use. Mackenzie Gore, Luis Patino, Adrian Morejon. There's a ton of guys the Padres can use. Even Joey Lucchesi is still on the Padres roster, even though I'm not a big fan of Joey Lucchesi. There's a lot of options, but I would say it's probably a no. But given the fact that he went down, it seems like that was a decision that they made. And Zach Davies is not under contract for the Padres next year. Had a very solid year for the Padres and then didn't perform very well in the postseason as he was facing two very solid lineups. So I think that had something to do with it. More that, Clevenger's not here for the Padres this year, so they're bringing in Snell for him this year. And then Davies is not here next year, so they're bringing in Clevenger for that next year. I think that's the plan. And I don't think Clevenger's going to be the pitcher we saw from him in this past couple of years because, I mean, the stats show, obviously, I don't know him off the top of my head. After you have that second Tommy John surgery, no pitchers as good as they once were.
Yeah, the thing I'm thinking about, Dom, is that I don't think they're going to win in 2021, like the division or the World Series, but I do think they have a really good chance of getting in 2022. That's the thing. That's the one I'm looking for the Padres, because Mackenzie Gore, Chris Paddock, Lamet, Depends how Clevenger's throwing, and then you have Blake Snell. Out of those five spots in starting rotation, they're filled with crazy talent. And I've been saying, I think the Padres have, if not the best infield in baseball, because you have Manny Machado, Tatis, now Cronenworth, and Eric Hosmer. For me, amazing. And now the defense, obviously, with them, with the starting rotation, it's going to be crazy. So would you say that maybe in 2022 is the good year for the Padres to potentially win it all, or what are your feelings on that?
Well, they'll be at full strength with the rotation because, I mean, I think I speak for a lot of people in saying that Mike Clevenger is better than Zach Davies. Now, Zach Davies is still a very impressive pitcher, but he's not that Mike Clevenger. I mean, Mike Clevenger over the past 4 years has right over a 3 ERA for the course of his career. Now, I mean, his problem has been staying on the field, but when he's on the mound, he's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So I do think that 2022 could be the Padres' best chance. But at the same time, you know, Corey Seager contract expires next year. Now, I'd imagine the Dodgers do end up re-signing him because he is one of the best shortstops in all of baseball. I mean, we'll see how Clayton Kershaw rebounds. It's going to be a full season. You know, he is getting older. He had a very solid 2019 and 2020 campaign. I'm not saying he's going to get worse, but, I mean, he is getting older. You never know. He has had some injuries in the past. Now that he's not that ace, though, with guys like Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, Tony Gonsolin, and Dustin May, you know, they have a ton of options there too. And the Dodgers are the inevitable. They're always going to be there for the Padres. I mean, that's just the way they've been run. They're the best run team in baseball. Them are the Rays. They have the payroll to go out and get free agents to keep to fill holes immediately. So they're always going to be there. And the Padres think that now this is their best chance. So they're going to go for it and say, hey, we think we can beat the Dodgers.
One last thing before I let Dom let go. My last question today. My last point is that I'm just worried that the Padres, they're going to go all out in the next 2-3 years and they deplete after that, you know, because they just don't know who they're going to come out after that. Does that cross your mind, stuff like that? You know, like you're focusing on the next 2-3 years to win it all, but then like if they start losing players, that they're going to start depleting little by little in their franchise.
No, they won't deplete because, I mean, a lot of their players and the way this franchise has been built is it's built for players that are going to be on the roster for a long period of time. I've already mentioned the rotation. I mean, Tatis, he's still under contract for the next 4 years. He's going to get a contract. He's going to get a huge contract. I mean, it's inevitable. They've said it's going to happen. Manny Machado, under contract for the next 8 years. Guys like that. Trent Grisham, he's only in his second year, so he's still got 4 more years under his contract. Will Myers, who knows where he's going to be in a couple of years. Tommy Pham is going to be a free agent after the next year. And they got a bunch of guys still in their farm system, too. C.J. Abrams is a top 20 prospect in baseball, one of the best contact hitters in all of baseball, with some gap-to-gap power, and is what been graded as one of the fastest prospects in all of baseball, along with some other pitching prospects to go along with that. Morejon, Baez, guys like that. So the Padres, they'll be fine in a couple of years. Now, they might not be exactly where they're at right now, but they won't just vanish because they're built for the next 4 to 5 years, but their best chance could be in 2021, 2022.
Yeah, that really sums it up. And I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how it works out. And we are going to wrap it up here because, you know, we're getting late in the night, and I mean, it's been a crazy night, and you know, to have this deal happening, and this is the first big move. This is the first big thing we've had this offseason. It's been such
not
a
free agency. It was a trade.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Not free agency.
There's always one every offseason, and you know, Jeff Passan tweeted out that Kevin Kiermaier's next on the trade block for the Rays, which means that we might be seeing that coming up.
It looks like the Rays are going to clean house. And when I saw the original report that they were open to trading Snell, I was thinking, once they trade one, it could be a domino effect where they're just moving to rebuild. And here's the thing. They've got the farm system to where they will be a competing team in the next 3-4 years. They have the best farm system, and it just got insanely better with this trade. The Rays are going to be a team to be scary and to be scared of in the next few years because they're going to have all their young guys coming up. But in the end, when you look at it now at a team who is the reigning AL champions, this is a trade that you don't expect, but it's a big trade for the Padres, especially because they need to make up for Clevenger. And it's quite frankly, it's still an upgrade from Clevenger if you get that great Blake Snell.
Right.
And the Padres don't need the great Blake Snell. They need good Blake Snell. They need 3.3 ERA Blake Snell. We don't need that Cy Young Award winner 1.8 ERA Blake Snell. That's not what we need. We need the Blake Snell that's going to go out there, give us 6 innings to start, allow 2 to 3 runs, keep us in ball games because the offense is going to be explosive. That's all the Padres need.
Yeah, and again, you guys, summing it up perfectly. This is a crazy trade. The prospects are high. This is going to be a win. It's either going to be a win-win, a win-lose, or a lose-lose. There's really no other way around it, and we'll see how it plays out. This is a huge deal, and as you guys said, not even a signing. So maybe this will be a domino effect. Maybe we'll start to see some things start to happen because this definitely puts pressure on other owners that are trying to make things happen, like the Angels, like the Mets that are trying to do things but haven't quite gotten there yet. Maybe this is their driving force. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Maybe we've got some more. Hopefully we've got some more breaking news to bring to you guys over the next week or so. But boy, never thought I'd be doing this tonight when I got home after work. It just worked perfectly. But Dom, I know you're happy. Blake Snell on the Padres. For right now, in 2021, this is going to benefit the Padres more than it's going to benefit the Rays. In the future, we will have to wait and see. You never know with prospects. They can go anywhere. Thank you all for tuning on in. We had a lot of viewers. For those of you that came on in today, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, because we're always going to be live right after breaking news happens. So we want to see you guys back here again so that you can catch us giving our take on these things. So thank you all for tuning on in, and we'll see you